So I'm about to ask ChatGPT-4 what are the 3 or 4 questions a home seller should ask a listing agent before listing their home in California. Now, so here we go. And I may have to follow up, but let's do it. So ChatGPT-4, my name is John McConnin. I'm a real estate attorney and a broker, and I have a few questions for you. What are the 3 questions that a homeowner should ask a listing agent before they list their home in light of the most recent changes in how realtors can sell homes due to NAR and CAR's response to the class action lawsuits? I'm going to have to move this. There we go. Okay, so great questions. How you handle buyer agent compensation. Explanation. With the recent changes in traditional method of offering compensation to buyer agents has come under scrutiny. Homeowners should ask the listing agent plans to structure buyer agent compensation and whether they will broadcast it publicly. They should also inquire about the potential risks involved, including steering and legal concerns, and what steps will be taken to mitigate the risks. What forms and disclosures will you use? Given the changes to the forms and the removal of certain fields related to buyer agent compensation, homeowners should ask the listing agent about the specific forms and disclosures they will use. It's essential to understand how these new forms will protect both the homeowner and the agent and how they address the current legal landscape. How will you navigate the new legal and ethical guidelines? Explanation. Homeowners should ask the agent plans to navigate the updated legal and ethical guidelines imposed by the recent changes. This includes ensuring compliance with DOJ regulations, avoiding any potential accusations of steering and compromising fiduciary duties, and how the agent will educate and protect the homeowner through the transaction. Wow, those are good questions. Now, let's actually see if listing agents are even licensed to answer those questions or if they probably need an attorney licensed in the appropriate state. So I have to follow up to those questions. For instance, let's deal with number 1. Are real estate agents licensed to handle those questions, explain the risks, and create the forms in the state of California? And if not, who is? Oh, bummer. I must have cut it off before they had a chance. We'll have to start again. So with respect to your first question, will you handle buyer agent compensation, or how will you do it? Are real estate agents licensed to advise home sellers of the risks if they broadcast buyer agent compensation publicly? And are realtors licensed to create the forms, or does the California Association of Realtors even have the forms that home sellers need to mitigate against the risks? Real estate agents are not licensed to provide legal advice, including advising home sellers on the legal risks associated with broadcasting buyer agent compensation publicly. Agents can explain general industry practices and their potential consequences, but they should always recommend that homeowners consult with an attorney fully to understand the legal implications. Are realtors licensed to create the forms necessary to mitigate these risks? Realtors are not licensed to create legal forms. They typically use standard forms provided by the California Association of Realtors or other industry standard templates. Creating legal forms or modifying existing ones to address specific risks is outside the scope of a realtor's licensure and should be done by a qualified attorney. Does the California Association of Realtors provide necessary forms for themselves to mitigate these risks? As of the most recent changes, the California Association of Realtors has removed certain fields in their forms and previously allowed listing agents to discuss and agree on buyer agent compensation with sellers. CAR currently does not provide specific forms designed to mitigate the risks of broadcasting buyer agent compensation. Home sellers may need to rely on custom legal documents prepared by an attorney to adequately address these risks, including waivers, acknowledgments, and disclosures tailored to the seller's unique situation. And I'd say those forms, risks, acknowledgments, and waivers should be, if you're offering buyer agent compensation, whether it's after an offer came in or broadcasting it before, you absolutely have to have the buyer sign waivers and acknowledgments. You have to basically say the buyer understands they could be doing other things with this money besides compensating their buyer's agents, but they're asking, rather than reduce the cost of the home or put in new floors or make changes, they're saying, please take some of that money that you're getting from me bringing a loan and a deposit and down payments to the table. Please take some of that money and pay my buyer's agent. That must be explicitly in the form to protect home sellers, in my opinion. And there's other things that can significantly reduce the risk, if not eliminate the risk, of these rules change, of the response to the rules. The rules were a response to DOJ concerns about steering, compromising fiduciary duties, and price fixing. So the forms, if a home seller still wants to offer compensation to buyer's agents, and in many circumstances I think they'd want to, then they need to have the forms that make the seller acknowledge that their agent's being paid and waive some of their rights, including I'd have a third form where the buyer waives any right to participate in class action suits as a result of compensation to their buyer's agent, and waives other rights too. We'll discuss that in future videos. I've already created the forms. Now, finally, let's see if ChatGPT can answer this one. So I have one more follow-up question. Are there times in which it may be useful for a home seller to make unilateral offers of compensation to buyer's agents and market them, or as the legal term of art, broadcast them? Is it possible home sellers could sell their home faster, they could find more motivated buyers, they could get multiple offers, or they could just flat out sell their home for more than they're offering the buyer agent? And have agents been making that argument for the past 50 years? So you can see that ChatGPT 4, which is excellent, understands that for a listing agent to be exercising their fiduciary duty, they need to tell sellers ahead of time that there were times that they might wish to make unilateral offers of compensation. However, they're putting in place a process which will minimize the risk to home sellers, educate them, and put a lawyer on their team so that they can be protected from the risks that buyer agents and buyers pose to them. Now, I believe those risks can be seriously mitigated against. For more information, go to winnerscheck.com and see the home seller course. Or if you'd like to just bypass all these problems, you can just you can just look for a referral to a buyer agent that we've trained, that we're calling certified sellers advocates, certified seller advocates. Thank you. My name is John McConnin. I'm a real estate attorney and a broker in California.